Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast, aka CTP, in association with thelibertybeacon.com, and I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Lenard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. I really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show.
Hello, everybody. I am intending that this will be a short show, but I think you've heard me say that before. And once I get it going, it kind of just keeps going and going and going. So, well, we'll see, right? But indeed, I'm intending this to be fairly short. I've got my notes here. You can hear me wrestling on this. The noise cancellation doesn't. I was going to joke. I got my pencil. Give me something to write on. Van Halen joke. Yeah, no. I got my notes here. I do have something to write with if I need to. But the show title, Hard and Fast Economic Realities, Some Still Trying to Ignore. Now, it will just blow heads up if indeed we try to go through all economics and the concepts of accounting and even basic math that some don't grasp. So, you probably know some of these, and at the end of the show, you really know somebody that's confused, obviously, get them to listen to this episode. Also, maybe for their birthday. Christmas will be too late. We need people to wake up and understand some basic economics before this coming election. Buy them Economics for Dummies and Accounting for Dummies and Basic Math for Dummies. But at any rate, all right, we're going to throw one of those in here early. At any rate, yes, and again, yeah, transcript. I'm laughing at myself. So, indeed, would you rather have a 3% raise or a 6% raise? Well, of course, everybody's knee-jerk reaction is going to be to say, well, 6 is a bigger number than 3. Multiple of 6 is better than a multiple of 3. Well, of course, not so fast. Here's where understanding economics comes in and basic accounting, that there is more to the picture than just those two numbers and your salary. Which are you going to get? Obviously, you always want a biggest amount of increase as you can get, but the question is, are you getting ahead or falling behind? And if you don't follow me yet, let's move away from personal finance and the point I'm going to get to regarding the 6 and the 3 number there. Like, I think, I'm pretty sure I covered this in the When Are You Going to Fight? BiDUMBnomics Part 3 episode, but I want to expound on it more. So, but let's pivot to business. Obviously, not everyone's run a business before, but let's talk in those terms that most people could probably grasp and understand once I get into it. Let's say you acquire a business. I'm not starting up or whatever. Let's talk acquiring a business. All right. So-and-so says, yeah, I'm selling $1 million of inventory every year. You want in on this? Do you want to buy my business? The answer shouldn't be, oh, hell yeah. $1 million a year, that's great. Because that's not the whole picture. Do you see what's missing there? Right? Yeah, I'm selling all kinds of these widgets for $9 a piece. What's missing there? $9 sale, manufacturer suggested retail price, whatever. $9 a sale doesn't tell the story, right? Like Paul Harvey, the rest of the story. If that widget costs $10 to make, or your operating costs, all things included, per unit cost of goods sold is $10, you're losing money. Right? And the answer isn't to then just, oh, let's just sell more of them at $9 a piece. Because what? If your cost still is $10, you're losing more money. You're going bankrupt even quicker by selling more rather than selling less. So, yeah, hey, you want to buy this business? What is the cost of the items? What is the cost of the goods sold? What is your profit margin per item? Your overall profit revenue a year, a month, a year, a decade, whatever, however you're breaking it down. Because a lot of people understand going into a business, if the first several years, you indeed may likely lose money. But if you're buying into a business, as long as it's profitable already, you hope then you're not going to have to deal with potential first, second, third year startup costs, losses as you're building your business. Now, of course, right, the other thing here or option is, all right, yeah, we still sell it at 9 because we're not going to be able to sell it at 11. People aren't going to pay the 11. They're willing to pay the 9. So what do? Selling more can be an option if distributor A, distributor B, and distributor C that you get items from are willing to drop their costs because you're going to buy more of their stuff to make your widgets then at an overall lower cost. You get that $9 widget down to $8 cost of goods sold. Now you're profitable. I'm sure a lot of you already see and understand where this is going. But let's talk Little Caesars. And I've not worked for them. I've not seen their books. So I'm just using them as a generic, in general kind of concept example because, yeah, they're headquartered in Detroit. They are Michigan-based. They didn't start in Michigan, but, yeah, their headquarters is there now. They didn't go from selling, $8 pizzas to the hot and ready $5 pizzas without making adjustments. They knew the long-term goal was to sell 2, 3, 4, 10 times as many pizzas at $5. So a smaller profit would be okay and make it up in bulk. And so they, like I said, went to their distributors, found ways to cut their costs, cut corners, cut labor costs, cut whatever costs they could. Therefore, a $5 pizza could be viable and in the long run make even more money by selling 10 times as many of them as they sold at $8. All right. I think you're all with me. I know I probably confused some. But let's now shift back to personal finances, right? Have I made the point? You've got to look at income as well as outgoing dollars, right? Accounting, basic accounting. There are debits and credits. You can't just look at the inflow, you have to know the outflow also. And this is where some people don't get the concept of, okay, yeah, I want the 6% raise, but the hiccup, the catch is that 6% raise is at a time of now hyperinflation. So you're getting more in your paycheck, but guess what? Due to inflation, more is going out. So in actuality, that 3% raise when inflation was only 1.5% was the better deal, actually, right? Left and right, both sides, debits and credits of the ledger. And there's a lot of people out there who are clueless. Is that I'm getting a 6% raise now, whereas 3 years ago, I only got a 3% raise. Why is my bank account disappearing? Why is my credit card debt having to be run up? That's because you're not smart enough to look at both sides of the ledger, that your outflow has gone up more dramatically than your inflow. You have to look at the whole bigger picture, and why indeed a lot of people need economics for dummies, accounting for dummies, basic math for dummies book. All three, really, right? And to listen to the show, because they don't get it. You have to, if you're getting that 6% increase now, as opposed to that 3% then, that 3% was far better than the rate of inflation. So you were actually doing better. You had more buying power. Now, 6% increase sounds great, sounds wonderful. We always want knee-jerk reaction, that bigger number, more in. Like in the business case, if I sell 2 million widgets instead of 1 million widgets at $9, but my cost is 10, or went from 10 to 11, I'm losing exponentially more money. Personally, your buying power, because of inflation, is dropping. You're getting more dollars, but you're getting more and more dollars that are worth less and less due to the inflation bite. And everything, everywhere, costs going up. It's like selling a house. I know a lot of people talk about, oh my God, I can't believe my house is worth $200,000 now. I paid $50,000 for it, whatever ago, right? Well, if you sell it for $200,000, unless you're moving somewhere else out of state that has a much lower level of cost of living, how much good is it going to do to get the 200,000 if the other next house you're going to buy, also if you're able to greatly downsize, is going to cost you $200,000? You're not gone anywhere. You've not gained anything. Now, I had friends I used to work with, Fred. They had It was at the time a $150,000 house. They both were working. He was not working anymore, so they moved from Michigan to Georgia because her job was portable. So they sold their house for $150,000, and they were able to find a house in the cost of living areas that were much less for only $50,000. So they actually gained. They had buying power. They didn't just swap $150,000 home for another $150,000 home and then actually got nowhere. They actually saw the bigger picture. And that's what we're talking about here. Looking at a bigger picture and all the numbers, both the debits and the credits. Okay, and, let me read the beginning of the Liberty Beacon associated corresponding correlating article. So, oh my God, OMG, right? OMG, really? Seriously? Saw one of those man on the street interviews a few weeks ago and just about fell off my couch laughing. No, seriously, literally almost fell off my couch. I was laughing so hard. And some, especially one of the highlighted persons interviewed about economy, Joe Biden getting proper credit or blame for how you perceive the economy. Time for a serious discussion about some very basics far too many U.S. citizens have no clue about. And that's why I had to do this show. And that's what we're talking about here. It's like, wow, I've got all this more money coming in, but completely delusional and ignoring the fact that she's spending twice as much for groceries, twice as much for her electric bill, twice as much for her gas bill. She's actually losing ground, but all she has is the blinders on. I got a 6% raise instead of a 3% raise. Again, completely devoid of reality and able to see the whole thing. I've mentioned it before in another show about the forest for the trees, right? That old saying or concept. She's so focused on the one tree, this little itty bitty tree, she doesn't see any of the other trees around, and her tree actually might die because the other trees are crowding it out, shading it out. It's not getting enough sun. It's not getting enough water. And she's wondering why her tree is dying. So indeed, at any rate, in all seriousness, this indeed is going to be a short show. I indeed could go on and on. The notes, right? Inflation, we touched on that. Overall debt, I touched on that. People are running up their credit cards like there's no tomorrow and not understanding the whys and the wherefores. Your wages, federal minimum wage, I'm not even going to go into that, how that lands up creating more inflation, right? The real minimum wage is zero. And when you dictate that Midland, Michigan, or other remote area of Michigan must pay $20 an hour for a burger flipper, that the McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's might be able to afford in Detroit because of the volume of sale, it doesn't work. The cost of living is different state to state to state, and even often county to county to county within a state. That's why the federal government, beyond being unconstitutional, it has no authority to do that, is just stupid, because, again, place A isn't the same as place B, and you can't just look at the how great it is to give everybody this much money. But what it really does is costs jobs. So there are fewer people making indeed that more money as every place then automates to eliminate and reduce their labor costs or keep it the same. Same payroll, but fewer people because they got to pay fewer people more money. So I didn't even mean to go down that road. I'm glad, I guess, we did. The point here is I know, you know, you've got to grasp on basic concepts of economics. You can't just wave a magic wand and improve one side of the ledger, especially for a certain number of people, and those who then magically get twice as much as a minimum wage causes problems with all the other people who have improved their skills, found better jobs to move themselves up the economic wage ladder. That's how it's done. You get a job, pays next to nothing when you're young, you gain skills, you become more marketable, you get different jobs that then pay you more subsequent to your actual worth of the jobs and the business and the market you're dealing in. Okay, I've indeed kind of gone off on a tangent that I wasn't expecting to do, but all these things relate. And the problem is people on the left only want to look at the tree rather than the whole forest. Issues relate to other issues. Nothing exists in a vacuum. You tweak one thing, you can break something else. And that's kind of the bottom line here. We've got to get a handle on this inflation. It's out of control. We got to get a handle on our deficits and debt because that's a large part of the federal government spending, especially when they're printing fiat money based on nothing, exists out of nothing. They're just printing it. The Weimar Republic is around the corner. Cloward and Piven bankrupting of America is around the corner if we don't get a handle on it. And soon, like the Weimar Republic and Venezuela, we're going to need a wheelbarrow full of cash just to get a loaf of bread. So, people, we've got to wake up before it's too late. And we are nearing that point of no return. Thank you all. Take care. God bless.
Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff. No fancy high production intro or inserts, at least yet, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast and share episodes. We need your help to grow the show.